Hello, friends. I'm kind of waiting for this mic to just pop. I feel like the audio is kind of wonky, at least on my end, but it says that it's fine. La la la. Or I'm just deaf, honestly. Could be either or. I have my whiteboard, but it's really difficult to use this whiteboard. It's like ginormous, but I figured we at least have it if I need it. Um, I got a message from John from It's Complicated, our friend, asking me to react to this video. So, red pill is blue pill. That's our proposition. I vehemently disagree. I did watch it. I did write out the questions. I have them listed out. But yeah, I guess just spam the chat with twos if the audio be wonky. I don't know.
Possibly be selling us the. Do you think the manosphere might? Do you think the manosphere might possibly be selling us the blue pill disguised as the red pill?
Oh man, that's a great question. To a certain extent, I can kind of see where you're coming from.
What are your thoughts on the current state of the red pill? Why is red pill dying?
I feel like a lot of the reasons is the people that promote red pill have a lot of controversy attached to them.
People's content's getting demonetized on YouTube, and a lot of the ladies and Democratic Party don't like the content.
How has red pill gone mainstream yet nothing's improved?
I think it's just exposing the fact that for the most part, at the end of the day, it's all about taking it to action. So you can have an ideology, and that ideology can be very popular, but if nobody puts it into action, it's kind of useless.
Why was the original red pill documentary all about male disposability and men's rights, but the red pill movement is all about self-improvement and dating advice?
So I think it goes hand in hand. So like if you self-improve, I think everything will follow itself. But at the end of the day, it's all about personal responsibility.
Every day someone turns 18, right? And every day a young man realizes that the dating pool is not in his favor, right? So there were content creators who used to get those guys to buy services like coaching and things of that nature.
If red pill advocates for men, why doesn't it fight for men's rights?
Because that's not what they care about.
There's just so much to cover. They're like, wrong. No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with this. It's just, but what are you going to do? As I've matured, I kind of just take this sort of stance like Ryan does. And it's like, okay, the amount of bullshit to refute is just, it's exhausting. I'm like pretty tired of it, to be honest with you. But I fear that if I don't say anything, then idiots are just going to run with it. Not calling John an idiot by any, I'm not talking about him. Love you. Red pill, first of all, is not a goddamn ideology. Jesus. And then I also hate to say it's a praxeology. Like, that's annoying too. I don't like it. But I get it. Praxeology is like human behavior. Like people are. It's not determinism, but like I'm almost viewing it in a deterministic lens, and it's just kind of like people are going to behave the way they behave. Here's some descriptors. Do what you will with it. The reason it can't be a fucking ideology, first of all, or well, you could maybe argue philosophy, but even that is it doesn't have grounding. But ideology, first of all, uh, there's so many there's so many things. It's not a set of beliefs. We'll start with that. Outcomes are determined based on who's acting it out. So that's why I'm like, you could maybe argue philosophy, maybe, but again, it's not these sets of beliefs. It's literally, it started as a place where men swap notes about how to pick up women, if you will, or what works with dating and even marriages and stuff. Like men were clueless. Love you. But they were. It has evolved into so many things. Okay. But like essentially, it's literally like just data on, at least to me now, I feel like it's like where you go to hear about evolutionary biology. You could argue connecting dots, but like scientifically, no, right? It's the only place where people talk about men's issues, arguably. They try to bring it up in other discourse, other areas, but it's just, it's so toxic. But essentially, there was sort of like an understanding that it was just going to get worse. Women are just going to become more feminized, which is, it depends how you feel about it. When I say feminized, like I would use the term brainwashed, but it's not all wrong. So like brainwashing is a little it's a little dense, if you will. Like, but you know, like a lot of a lot of issues that men have are not necessarily systemic issues. They're not necessarily like court issues. You could argue it like family court, but and like that's what the men's rights are tackling, but the issue is that it's so like woven into attitudes, culture, women in general, whatever that means to you. But it's more attitudes. Like if I could give you a million double standards, I'll give you some. When it comes to sex, women are encouraged to explore it, to have a lot of it. Even schmasturbate is not viewed poorly at all. If anything, it's a turn on. But when it comes to like a man talking cis heteronormative male in the Western world, it's disgusting. It's gross. It's their problem. It's creepy. It's aren't they all just incels anyway? Like it's viewed poorly. We can move on to something like guns. It's sexy and it's celebrated if your dad taught you as a girl, daughter, whatever, to shoot a gun. A woman has a gun, it's hot. A man shoots a gun and it's like he's deranged. What are some other ones? If a woman has no experience in the bedroom, it's expected. If anything, it's hot. If a man doesn't have it, good luck. Good luck. A woman can just lay there, right? A guy can't. It's like a little bit more crazy, but whatever. What other ones? We talk about body positivity. And maybe dad bods are celebrated a little bit more now. But just the language around it, like how women will talk about it on TikTok, for instance. It's like, we like guys that are ugly. Ugly is hot. It's like, babe, you're probably gay, love you, but like, just stop it with this language. Or it's like, men are always portrayed as buffoons. I love saying it like that. Idiots. Oh, look, he's even like kids, like when it comes to parenting, I know feminists talk about this too. And it's like men are viewed more as like babysitters. And it's like, oh, look, he did all this stuff. And it's like, like when it comes to how moms are talked about, it's a standard that nobody asked for, but it's like, we can't even like, even in a positive sense, it's like, oh, look, he's the best dad. It's like, because we expect so little from them. We think they're so stupid. What other ones? Men shouldn't go into fields like education as teachers because they can't be trusted. God forbid we had male, what do you call it? Sorry, daycare. Sorry. Male. It's like, well, maybe they just don't want to do that. It's like, you want to talk about the gender pay gap then? Topic for another day. But it's like, they'll talk about interests when it comes to that area, whatever. Things like, if there's even like when you hear about female teachers that EPAR their students, even in the media today, they don't say it like EPAR, which just backwards is the hard R that I can't say. They'll say like had sexual relations with their students. It's absurd. It's disgusting. What are some other ones? I made a list. I was trying to see if I could remember it though. God damn it. Dang it! Ooh, not in the mood for sex. It's expected for women, but for men, he must be gay. If a man isn't into a woman, maybe they go on a date and they decide, and he decides he doesn't want to go out with her again. He gets blasted on TikTok for he must be gay, because how could nobody ever want somebody like me? And that's like a little bit of a window into the entitlement problem that we have. Oftentimes, I feel like when you hear about it from like a feminist lens, it's like, why? Because they won't fuck you. And it's like, no, there really is an entitlement problem. It's just that it's not called that on the other side. We could talk about EPAR. And this is it. It's such a heavy topic. It really is. And I don't like to talk about it. But when you look at the stats about boys and girls and EPAR, very close to the same, around the ages of, I think it was, hold on. And when I'm talking about EPAR, I'm talking about by like adults. People, EPAR, okay? I think it's like, I'll double check on it. I know Louise Perry talks about in her book, The Case Against the Sexual Revolution, that EPAR amongst like 15-year-olds is common, like 15-year-old boy, 15-year-old girl, but the boy is always viewed as the aggressor, and it's like they're both kids, but for sure that's such a topic. I wasn't expecting to do that. Okay. If you want to end your current marriage, it's celebrated for women, and men are usually viewed as doing something wrong. It doesn't even have to just be marriage. It could be any relationship. It's like, oh, what'd he do? I wrote quiet, boring, no friends. It's like, for women, it's shit, almost better. But for like a guy, you're fucked in terms of dating, at least. Homosexual or bi, guys think you're really hot. Girls, you're a target for violence. Crying, being emotional. Men will rush to women to comfort them. Everyone else thinks you're a pussy. Don't get me started about sex fetishes. Like, that's all I wrote down. But E-par, spell it backwards. Thank you. But let's keep going.
Why is Red Pill more about coping with the symptoms of men's oppression rather than fighting the actual oppression in the first place?
Glad, would love to tell you. Okay. It's either cope from some people, or it's how to make the best of your situation when the world hates you to others. It's just tools. Okay, your circumstances suck. What are you going to do about it? If you choose not to do anything about it, we can't help you. I personally, if I was president, I would do things a little bit differently and be a little dictator and shit, but no phones, okay, for nobody. Oh, shit. I would optimize the environment to improve social relations amongst men, women, and all people. And anything that gets introduced into the environment that warps your perception of the other person is fundamentally flawed in my worldview. So I know he's going to talk about prostitution later in the video. In some places like Amsterdam, it's widely accepted. I don't know if that's going to work, especially in America with this climate. We'll get to that. But what else? This thinking concerns me when we say it's a cope. Because that's telling men, well, they should just be victims. And it's, a lot of people would say it's only going to get worse. Enjoy your decline, if you will. I disagree with this. I think that it's actually going to get better, even though I know I was very nihilistic about it. I actually do think the problem will get solved. It's just going to have to be a collaborative effort. But I don't know, John, that questioning is concerning me.
Same thing. It's not what they care about. They care more about male superiority than they do about like equal rights and stuff like that.
Because people who are red pill aren't in it for the right reasons. I think it was going in the right direction for a second. Kevin Samuels passed, and all of a sudden, I think a lot of overnighters came and kind of stirred it in a different direction.
I honestly think the red pill movement has kind of lost its way. Initially, it had good intentions. As of right now, it's spearheaded by a bunch of idiots, a bunch of loudmouths, a bunch of grifters, and a bunch of people that don't really give a shit about, what men's rights or what guys should really be doing. That's
another thing is like I was giving examples of just attitudes and stuff. Like most of men's issues are not like, again, systemic. You could argue stuff for like fathers and whatever, but it's like there's not much you can do to fix it other than, get arguably women to see differently. You okay? You got it. She's like, Mom, I can't jump. You got it, babe.
How is passport bros and self-improvement not just a form of coping with men having a harder life?
I see it as men solving the reproductive imperative. What's wrong with traveling and maybe getting laid or not? You know, this idea that you can go to a lower socioeconomic country and just either pay for sex or find women that are quote unquote nicer. First of all, I don't even know if it's legal. Second, assuming that everybody's consenting, what's wrong with that? You're just hating. You know what I mean? At that point, it's like, let them live. You know, the QB passport talks about passport bros. He's great. You know, it's solving, you know, if something sucks, what are you going to do about it? Is it a shortcut? Maybe, but I think traveling brings an incredible amount of just mindset change. You learn so much just stepping out of this fucking American bubble, which is, I promise you it exists, okay? Like the way that we set life up over here is almost unhuman. It's like robotish. Hi, baby.
It's just a solution, not necessarily a solution, but a way to make things slightly easier.
It is coping. It's 100% coping, and not only is it coping, it's unrealistic because majority of American men will not be able to travel abroad to meet women. So it is coping.
If all women were the same because of their female nature, why would Red Pill advocate for passport bros?
That's a great point.
Wait, what was the question? Hold on. I have a dog crying.
You can. I don't think you do both.
You got it.
Contradiction.
So then how can it be female nature?
Coping.
If all women were the same because of their female nature, why would Red Pill advocate for passport bros?
So they don't. You just think they do. Passport bros is like a MGTOW. Not even. MGTOW splits off into two. I don't know. What would Chronic say? Chronic would be like, get it together, I think. I don't know. But some people have harsh views on it. Others don't. I'm somebody that supports it. I think if you're going, hey, it's doing more than sitting at home and watching corn and rotting away in your bed. So, you know, they're doing something. It's another thing. Like when people shit on women for getting plastic surgery, I'm like improving their dating options. They're doing something about it. Is that why you don't like it? It's like, do you? Fuck what other people say.
That's a great point. You know, that's a great point. I think you hit it on the nail. I don't think you can. I don't think you do both. Contradiction.
So then how can it be female nature and not female nurture?
It's 100% female nurture, I believe.
What?
Well, there's two parts of a human. There's the hardware and then the software, right? So the hardware will be your biology. You can't change that. So men are men, women are women. But the software, for example, I'd say would be like your culture, religion, how you grew up. So the hardware is the same throughout the entire world, obviously. But the software might be different in other countries because maybe the girls are less materialistic. They're less arrogant, less masculine. So maybe that could be the reason why men are deciding to go to other countries.
If passport bros isn't an acceptable solution when it comes to dating, why isn't it acceptable when it comes to any other grievance of the average U.S. citizen? Would women's advocacy tell them to leave the country rather than change laws?
Of course not. And it's...
No, it wouldn't. So what? Now what? What are you going to do about it? They treat us differently. That's just a fact. Hi, sweetie. Hi, sweetie. We know that men's circumstances suck. There's this like delusion that I don't even, it's like it's based in half truths where men are patriarchal. They hold most positions of power because there's probably people that don't want to, women. But that we must dismantle it because yada, 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 yada. So this view that men, even young men who haven't even had a job yet, are in these tyrannical dominance hierarchies just looking to oppress women. It just isn't true. But unfortunately, when you're dismantling a hierarchy top to bottom, I'm not surprised that they don't view it any other way. And so when you have your average male, sorry, I hate even saying male, but it's like your average man's is not, you know, he's just trying to survive. Like maybe have a beer, eat something, you know, they don't even hit up their friends half the time. We'll probably get to that. Men's relationships are suffering. You know, they're not trying to step on most women. I say most. I don't think they're trying to do it. And so when we take it as if they're these psychopathic, toxic men, what we do is essentially allocate or redistribute. What do I say like that? It's like we view them in a lens where it's like, if they can't step up to the plate, that's on them. They have a porn addiction, that's on them. And so it's already coming from like a biased lens. And then in a capitalistic society, a late stage capitalism, sorry. It's the first time I'm talking out loud today. I hate saying that. But, you know, we look at how the economy is fundamentally different under whoever's in office. Whether you believe that or not is not my problem. But especially under let's not make this political. When we focus on equality or equity, the quality of outcome, not opportunity, the other end. What you're saying is that there's certain people that need to be empowered, whatever that is, whether that's give them loans, whatever it is. Okay, it's so intersectional, but whatever it is, whether it's race, whether it's income level, but we have to give some people, you know, a little bit more so that we're all starting out and have the best option at an equitable outcome. The issue with that is that men are almost always left out of the equation. And we can say that feminism is the equality of both the sexes. It's not, though. And you're lying to us. I would go as far as to say that it's a female supremacy movement, but you know, I'm being silly, but like at the end of the day, it's always women's interests first before the men. I would argue that feminism will keep us from reaching full equality of the sexes, but I'll do that tomorrow. Actually, I want to do that topic. But essentially, when you're trying to give people different things, resources, if you will, to get a better outcome, except for men. And I say except for men because while you're in a culture dismantling the patriarchy, it's either here or it isn't. Let's assume that it's assuming, no, we're going to give women these chances. And it could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be women. But my issue is that while we did all this shit for men, and there's stats to back it up, we have inadvertently stepped on men and disempowered them. And so now we have more men that are unemployed. We have more men committing suicide. We have more men. You okay? She's like, no, don't talk about that stuff. But until we address real male issues, then we're not giving them a full chance. And so when you have an economy that is redistributing, sorry, I have a hard time with that word, redistributing resources to everybody else except them, but then you also hate them culturally. The language around it, I gave examples in the beginning. Men don't find a purpose in this environment, and they don't have anybody on their side. So if you really want to reach equality, I would say that you'd have to get rid of feminism. And it's like, well, what the fuck? Probably in a different way. We're probably thinking about it differently, but you would have to also empower men. And we just don't. It could change. It could change. The economy could change. It depends. Okay. Very fun, very complicated issue. It could change. But men don't see purpose behind it because they also don't have money for what they're doing. So while we all feel the effects of a shitty economy, just try to step in their shoes. Okay. Now, am I saying that we need this hardcore, capitalistic, fuck everybody over society? No. Maybe for a little, but no. I'm just kidding. It's like, no, we could find a different solution. But the problem is we're not doing that. We're lying and saying that that's not happening when men are screaming. Yes, it is. It comes out in different ways. Okay, sometimes they have like corn rot brain and they say crazy shit, which is not justified. I'm just saying. It took me like 2 years to finally understand what they were trying to say. And until others step into their shoes, we are going to not be happy. We need men desperately, okay? We need strong men, not to be confused. Okay, not to be confused with men in gender roles. I would say it's the same way as we tell women to be assertive. Okay, we need to tell men to be assertive too. And it's like, the violence. You need assertive men to keep the violent ones in check. We need to understand that this is a trait that is not toxic. It's necessitous, honestly. But I'm going on a spiel. I hope I landed it.
At the end of the day, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't solve anything. Just because you move countries or go wherever does not change the inherent issues that men have.
Why is it when women complain, reforms are made, but when men complain, we're told to move or improve?
Oh, because we live in a matriarchy. Yeah, we definitely live in more of a matriarch society.
Because we don't spend enough money. Society sides with the person who spends the most money. Currently, women spend 80% of the household money. They control 80% of the goods that spend in the household, so naturally U.S. caters to the person who spends the money.
Think about what I believe he's getting at is you got to make women happy because women are spending the most in the economy. We need women, okay? There's like there's like women, they ruin the economy. Women are moving the economy. But another downfall to that is that the messaging is catering to women. Whether you think it's a conspiracy or not is beside me, okay? Like I could do it, but if like you can't even identify. I'll give you a really quick example. Why is it that we had a body positivity movement for women? And love me at any size, but we haven't seen the same energy but for men. That's just like one example. It's like we have women of all sizes on Dove. You don't see the same on the reverse. Just one example. But it's because women make most of the buying decisions. Like women are buying more groceries because like she's probably doing the shopping. I understand that component too. But it's an issue. And it's like, well, men are the business owners that are perpetuating this. I'm not ignoring that at all. But But the reality is, if you have a female-owned business where I think Kathy Newman and fucking Jordan Peterson were talking about this. Why can't we have business owners that value more feminine traits so that women don't have to do this type of labor? And it's like, well, yeah, that'd be great, except that like women determine the market, and what women determine requires masculine traits at the top. It's like, if you want to be all nurturing and allow people to not show up to work and be more loving and caring, it's like, we don't have them. Maybe if the market wasn't so crazy right now, but like ideally businesses don't run like that. It's like you have to be cutthroat in some regard. Topic for it. Also a multifaceted issue. Okay. But I see where he's getting at, based.
Even in the music, it bashes men because it makes money. Even in the movies, it bashes men and empowers women because it makes money. So if vice versa were to happen, the money wouldn't be there, unfortunately.
Why is shaming women seen as hate, but shaming men is seen as motivation?
It's not motivation.
Because women are a protected class. Final answer. If men were also considered a protected class, we wouldn't be seeing that. But because women are a protected class, that's why.
It's all hate at the end of the day.
I think shaming in general, to a certain extent.
And it's kind of fun. I'm sorry. I'm no pick-me. Don't get it twisted.
It is necessary because it motivates you to better yourself. This might be a little crazy, but, you know, everyone's saying bring back bullying because it kind of checks you, puts you on check to make sure that, you know, you're not above anybody, you're not arrogant. Or
shaming doesn't work on men. If it did, we wouldn't be seeing fucking married men. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being crazy right now, but it's like married men, Christian men predominantly paying for OnlyFans subscriptions. If shame was, well, maybe if it leaked, we thought that would happen with the Ashley Madison leaks. No, shame doesn't work on men. I don't even know I don't really think shame works on anybody anymore. Women do face shame in such a different sense, but if you want to get rid of that, we'd have to get rid of gender roles. And I support that. I support it.
Anything like that, and it humbles you. So I think shaming to a certain extent protects you from yourself, and it sets kind of like boundaries to make sure you don't become an insane person or a person that thinks they can do and say whatever they want.
The only time I see shame work is like between men and their like hierarchy of friends. If that, you know, you have a mechanic at a shop and you have the new weakest link who just started. He's like 19. Hasn't diagnosed a car in his life. You guys bully them a bit. You do it. Is that on shame though? Maybe. Or does it push you to try harder? I don't know. You tell me. Do we have anybody that's a mechanic? I've seen it firsthand. Y'all are savage. Okay. Making fun of them every chance you get. It's like, leave Tony alone. Tony didn't ask for this. Vote for me.
Why isn't the solution to women's problems to just be better like it is for men?
Oh, because we like to pander to women. Like I said, going back to the media.
Right.
And, you know, if you lie, women buy. So
why is misandry only identified when it comes from women?
Why is misandry only identified when it comes from women? I told you guys to stop using this word, didn't I? I thought I did. Okay. We talked about it before. You have misogyny. Sorry, I can't help but say it this way. You have misogyny, which is hatred of women, right? Misogyny. Hold on. Dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. And then you have the opposite, which would be misandry, which is the same thing, but for men. So you'll often hear men's rights be like, you're a misandrist. And I'm like, it doesn't hit the same, my G. Stop it with that. Okay. You just look unhinged. And I say this because I care and I want good conversations. But to somebody who, to like a woman who says you're a misogynist, and you just say, well, you're a misandrist, we're not solving anything. And women, there's like violence that comes from misogyny. You don't see the same violence from misandry. So you really are just bitching. I don't mean to be a bitch. I just think there's more productive ways. Some feminists would say misandry is just like a reactionary thing. Oh, now women are asking for rights and now you want to hold it over them. No, not necessarily. You know, I see the vision pointing out misandry, but because of that violence component, they're not hearing you. They just think you're whining. Thank you.
Because even the term itself is a term used when one gender uses it against the opposite.
When it comes from men, it's seen as tough love. It's seen as, you know, figure it out. It's seen as motivation. Whereas if it comes from women, you know, it's way more obvious.
But at the end of the day, misandry is misandry. Hating men is hating men. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who it comes from. If you hate yourself, you hate yourself. Like,
I think men would have a better chance at calling out projections. I think you're projecting. Seriously. I know it's like, oh, here we go with the narcissistic talk, but projection it doesn't have to deal with narcissism. It's saying that you're telling me that I'm doing the things that you went through. So if like, I'm like, I hate men, it's like, well, do you really hate men as a collective, as a monolith? Or do you hate men because a man treated you poorly in a relationship? That pointing out that, which would make more sense, I'll die on that hill. I think you have a better chance of at making a woman not assume that you're just trying to avoid. It's like when you bring that misandry, it doesn't hit the same. But if you were like, hey, I think that might be a projection. First of all, oh, now it gets loud. It's like, first of all, you're not saying. It's like, one, it shows you went to therapy. Okay, I'm not a therapist, but it's like, it can make somebody stop in their tracks and be like, oh, maybe I am. As long as you're not attacking with it, right? But I don't know. I think that's better than using this misandry. You tell me in the comments. I don't know.
Why would Myron write a book called Why Women Deserve Less while sculpting men on how to provide women more?
Because he hates himself.
Justice for Myron. Okay, justice for Myron. Men do things for female validation. Is this news? They care about what women think. We can tell men, focus on your purpose. You got this, do that. But it's not incentivizing them. You throw women in the mix and suddenly they're building buildings. It's like, we can act like Myron in particular must follow these rules. But the truth is, Myron gets women. Myron is around women. Myron is rational about this idea that he must adhere to fuck women. No. Did you even read the book, John? Genuinely.
The book is referring to don't do too much for the wrong woman. That's the one thing I can think of.
Men are self-sacrificial. We don't talk about it. I would guarantee you have an incel that hates, which also we act like they either hate women or they don't hate women. But for this example, we're going to say that they hate women. You have an incel out on the street and a bus is coming by about to hit a woman. He will instinctively jump in front of her. He could hate them and still do that. That sucks. That sucks. Like, cognitively, that blows. Not just because he's going to die, but you know what I mean? It's like, you don't have the same, there's differences. Not saying that we need to necessarily separate society in that way, but if we're not acknowledging those things, if we're not acknowledging that men have a self-sacrificial nature, then you literally are just shit talking them, you know? I don't know if I landed that.
Because the last thing you want to do is be used. For example, it's happened plenty of times in this society is where a woman will go on a date and a guy that she's not even interested in. So what I get from the title is make sure she proves herself as much as you prove yourself, and it's not a one-way street. Then everything can go from there.
If Myron admits women live life on easy mode, why would he propose that we place even more burdens upon men?
Oh.
You didn't really make an assertion. I don't know if I would die on that hill. I'll wait.
Because he thinks, oh, if men just do X, Y, and Z, we will be better. Instead, why not just fix the issues that we have, and then life will also be on easy mode.
All they care about is using their audience to make money. So any advice that they give you is actually going to lead the guys down to a harder road rather than one that's going to give them a real solution.
This is often something I hear, but it's a job. Can they bank off of men's insecurities? Yeah. I've met Myron and Fresh. I think they genuinely want to help men. We tell people, find something you're passionate about and that you can make money with, but we seem to have a different standard on this. And it feels like you're shifting the blame. It's a lot easier to blame them and consume the content than it is to fix your life.
What is gynocentrism?
I believe that comes from a term that really focuses on hyper-feminism.
I prefer the term gynocentric social order. It's insane, but it really puts into perspective we're not in a matriarchy in a sense, right? Because we can understand patriarchy and all of that, but definitely on like social issues, cultural narratives, we have a more like women can't possibly be wrong sort of attitude. And you might disagree with me, but just think about when there's an issue that happens and how we quickly will try to save her. And we don't even know the full thing. I can't come up with something off the top of my head, but it'll come to me. I'm sure people will put it there. It's like we have this almost instinctual, like, it couldn't possibly be her. We always villainize the man. And you could say like, okay, the violence statistics, men are more likely to be violent. I get that. But that doesn't justify it. I would say more women statistically are not in areas of STEM. So why do you keep trying to push it? It's like, it's like we can empower women in STEM. You feel me? Okay.
A society that really, really embraces everything geared toward women empowerment.
Gynocentrism is basically a society that pedestalizes women.
Yeah.
Is gynocentrism good?
Okay, that's one way to put it. Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I said. Pedestalizing, it kind of takes away women's struggles, though. Because women have struggles too, okay? I fear if you word it that way, people won't have, like, I try to look at it from like if I didn't know red pill and shit, like how would I take that? When you say that we pedestalize them, what you're saying is like taking away all their struggles. Don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Because as soon as you disregard their struggles, they're not hearing you. No, why would they? Why would anybody?
Good or bad, and why?
I'd say it's bad. The reason why is because you see what was going on now. Women are in delusion, and unfortunately, short term it does them well. They get whatever they want because they're being lied to. But long term, if you see by 2030, majority of women will be single and childless because no one tells them the truth on how to self-improve and how to better themselves. So I think long term, it's going to be terrible.
Although this is some common trope I would hear, like I said, for men and women, we're moving into an era where, you're not expected to get married and have kids. And I actually think this move in cultural narrative will be positive as long as we're mindful of it. I don't think men need to have kids to pass down a legacy. Your legacy is yours. Okay. Stop putting it on your kids. I think you can live a fulfilling life, man or woman. Any gender doesn't matter, but you have to set that up for yourself. I know it's really easy being in my position where I could just walk outside and say, somebody marry me, and they'll do it. I can't possibly know the struggle, but I truly do believe this. I think it's one of the things MGTOW does well, personally. I think you need to set up your life where if somebody comes into it, great. But I'm also fulfilled if I die by myself. Okay. Obviously, we want social networks. Okay. Not saying don't do it, but we have to reframe it.
Isn't telling men that they have a masculine duty to protect and provide for women really just telling men to be gynocentric?
You can say that, yeah.
Doll Rock talked about this. Is one of the first Christian red pillars, if you will. Rollo has mentioned him in his 4th book. His blog is like, you can maybe find archives on it, but he talks about chauvinism and how all this really is getting men to submit to women's demands. And it's arguably like tearing up the church, not in a positive way. But yeah, men need to assert themselves. You need to empower yourself. Like, you matter first. And I say this knowing damn well that men will jump in front of it like a train for somebody. But you need to get rid of this fucking mental model that your worth is dependent on women. Stop it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Okay? You need to learn boundaries. And you need to learn to assert them. Okay. Love you.
So then why is the red pill advocating for the very thing that they're complaining about?
Like I said, I think I said in the beginning, it just doesn't, they don't think about stuff like that. All they care about is male superiority.
It is our duty to protect and provide for our women. Let's say your wife or your girlfriend, but not necessarily treat every woman like their princess, because it's not going to happen in return to us. We're just going to be used at that point.
What are your thoughts on the following statement? Traditionalism and feminism are two sides of the same gynocentric coin.
Feminism and traditionalism. That would be more like chauvinism. Unfortunately, men have this way of having this, what do we call it? Y'all be making things very like zeroed out. It's like, you guys think in this strange way. I support it. It's just like, how did we get here? You can find somebody and build a life in a traditional sense if that's something that you want. If you want something that is more secular, you can get that too. It just requires different setups, maybe moving to a different area, Nebraska. But are they the same thing? No, I think that's like a reductionist way of looking at it. It's like a very complicated thing, especially like, are they religious? Like patriarchy, you know what I mean? It's like, I guess is he saying like in traditional, if I'm steel manning him, he's saying you're still submitting to the women. I would still argue that's chauvinism. Which, yeah, I could see what you're saying, John. But that's a choice, right? If men want to be delusional, or people in general, and think that life is like a Disney fairy tale and that your partner is your Prince Charming and whatever the fuck, and that you'll live happily ever after, sick, I'd rather live in reality. Not too far though, because sometimes I feel like it can get radical and you have different it can men are susceptible, women are too, people are susceptible to negative thinking patterns. But this all or nothing, we gotta change that. It's like there's components of it that's maybe similar. Um, maybe I don't know.
I would say feminism is more traditionalism on steroids. If you can think of a spectrum, there's like a healthy balance. But feminism,
I think feminism meant well, but culturally, the way that it's spun, especially with apps like TikTok, which I don't mean to be a little conspiratorial, but let's be honest, Putin's probably doing some shit. Okay. Look, I'm just saying. Trying to make it so that, see, look, the Americans can't even get together, losers. Something I'd like to add, I like that there's more Black representation in these videos, because if you guys didn't know, I would say like Red Pill, at least last time I checked, analytics wise, not even just like fucking on YouTube, just from like who reaches out to different creators, like when you see people in public, like it is a large Black demographic. And so oftentimes when I hear discourse around it, it gets put into the box of like a white male who lays on his couch at home, lives with his parents, no degree, what do you call it, neck beard and stuff. And it's every time you do things like that, you are you are saying what you experience doesn't exist. And we know it does. So just something to keep in mind. This is like one of the first times I think I've seen, I don't even think I've seen, maybe there was a white guy, but it's like,
it definitely goes over the limit, to the point, again, to where women are delusional. They think they can say and do whatever they want. Even other women I've heard say that it's gotten out of hand. So it's bad when even women themselves are saying this feminism thing has gotten out of hand.
Well, we're never happy. It's like, should I be reinforcing that stereotype? It's like kind of true. Hoes, what do you think? Assemble. Show yourselves. It's like, yeah, we're kind of... I think it's a hormone thing. I don't even think it's like women just can't be taken serious. Listen, okay? But it's like, God gave... I'm not even religious, but God gave men a problem they would never be able to solve. That problem was woman. Okay. Men are just like, we don't know what you want.
Why is it when women define a high-value man as tall, rich, and muscular, we accurately label her a delusional gold digger, but when red pill men do the same thing, it's considered advice?
Because at the end of the
Red pill fundamentally doesn't give prescriptions or advice. Obviously, certain creators are going to say, hey, this is what I do. Here's, buy my course, whatever it even is. It's like, okay, that's his experience. Swap notes, but it's not a blueprint. It doesn't work for everybody. You take the little parts that you think you can apply to your life, whether that's going back to school, whether that's getting your certificate in forklifting and doing that, whether that's getting rid of your car loan. Okay, we're going to walk to work. Whatever the tips you get, okay, you apply it to your life. That's it. It either fits or it doesn't, but it's not this like cult. It bothers me.
Like they don't think of it like that. If they hear from a woman, it's bad, but if it comes from a man, it's good.
Why is that?
Because they rather listen to other men speak than other women. They don't like women at the end of the day. Like, they would rather hear it from someone that they deem worthy than someone that's under them, because they see women as under them.
I genuinely think it's because women have been disregarding men's struggles for a while, and people have a tendency to make the conversation about them. I do this all the time. I don't think this is necessarily like like a man or woman thing, but especially in these spaces when men make these crazy ass assertions, it's only natural for us to be like, well, I don't do that. And it's like men will just, you almost sound like a broken record. But if they say it to a man is going to validate it in a way that's him. Now, if you see a man that's like, well, I do that, you almost never do. But if you find an example, I won't die on this hill. But it's just, in terms of podcasting, it's just how it goes. Men have a tendency to speak in this sort of catastrophic black and white type of way. And part of me can't tell if it's natural or not. I don't think there's any way that I would be able to. The more nuanced you can be, the better. Shows intelligence. There you go. Okay.
Majority of the time.
I think the terminology gold digger is being misused. If you're doing your part as a
men were the original gold diggers. Okay.
Woman, you have every right to, get whatever man that you desire as long as you're doing your part. But if you're completely useless and you're sitting around the house not helping him with his business, you're not doing anything, you're not doing your part, it's just a one-way street, then in that case, yeah, you're definitely a gold digger.
Why does Red Pill believe that chivalry is dead and feminism killed it?
Because they themselves aren't chivalrous. It's not dead if you don't kill it.
That's like, kind of goes into the whole thing, like women don't know what they want. It's like, I can envision myself walking down Financial Street, going into a building, and it's like there's a man a little bit ahead of me, okay? I'm in heels, I'm walking slow. If he does not open that door for me, I'm going to be fucking pissed. Because, ew, rude, but at the same time, what, you think I can't do it? It's exhausting. So when I hear this like chivalry thing, I'm just like, huh. Stresses me out. It's like, yeah, we probably did kill it, but like I want it too. I imagine living in it, okay? It's exhausting.
Men are expected to approach women, ask them out, pick them up, pay for dates, make the first move. What part of the dating process isn't chivalry?
What part?
When you guys say like, that's crazy. I know you don't. I know you're not listening. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't know. That's one thing that, see, I'm making it about me, but just to like add in, I always feel like I would ask them out. Because every time they would do it, they're stuttering and shit. And I know I'm making them nervous. I don't know how. I mean, I'm the most awkward thing. It's the tits. Okay. So I just learned to get the move on. Okay. I'm toxic. I like a little, I like a little, what do you call it? Like I love a good love bomb, Be there for like 3 months and then get out of here. Okay, we can end on a good note. Go away. I'm toxic though, so.
Part of the dating process isn't chivalry? Wow, that's a great question. I believe it is. It's all chivalry, but.
So how can it be dead? So how can it be dead?
Exactly. That's my point. It's not dead if you don't kill it.
So then why do they keep saying that chivalry is dead?
Because
and feminism
they don't practice it
I
themselves.
don't really feel like women are saying this. Are they? Chivalry. Chivalry is dead. Like, no, bitch. I want a house husband. Fuck your chivalry. I don't like the roles. And it's giving roles. It's giving nice guy who does everything for everybody and nothing for himself. It's like, you can say no. I like it.
They hate the fact that they have to do it, so they say that it's dead so they don't have to do it.
Hey, I believe it's slowed down, definitely. I hear my female friends say I don't get approached as much anymore. And I tell them, hey, this is...
Yeah, but, okay. It's gotten better. Love it. Or I'm just getting ugly. Who knows? I would assume it's just people are normal. But what bothers me is the camera thing. And maybe this is just a me thing. but like, stop filming us, you fucking weirdos. Why do you guys have to fucking ruin it? It's like, why do you? I never am opening up a man. Yes, I am. I'm going through that phone. It's like, why do you have random? Did you like their drum? I'm judging. Okay, I don't like it. It's like it's like it hasn't stopped. It's just gone on to a different fucking platform.
What you guys asked for, I definitely think the times have changed, and now women are going to have to start approaching men. I believe the Me Too movement definitely played a role in that.
Ladies, I think it's a good thing if you ask them out. Okay. They're having panic attacks. Okay, it's very nerve-wracking. I feel like we're good at this. I don't know. Women have a way of just like putting people at ease in conversation when they're the ones starting it. I feel like when men come up to us, it's like, oh, like Shrek. It's like, be like Donkey. I'm having waffles.
Men being afraid of being called creeps, weirdos, etc. So it's still there, but it's definitely not as what it used to be.
How can chivalry be dead if simping is alive and well?
Honestly, I think you hit it right on the head. Simping is the #1 root cause for everything. And I think in the West, simping is at an all-time high. You have it from the low-value guys. You have it from the high-tier guys, the millionaires. Simping.
I disagree with him. I don't think you can ever get rid of simping just because, like, on a basic human level, like we're a bunch of ants. I feel like men's sole purpose, obviously we're humans and we evolved, but like fundamentally they want to fuck. Okay, they want to spread that seed. Nasties. I hate you guys, but I can't blame you for it. Okay, so it's like when you say simping, it's like men kind of are always going to, and what, be nice to women? I don't know. All men simp, all of them. This idea that, well, I guess he's saying that, but sometimes I think like guys saying, dude, that's simping. It's like they all are. They have to. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I just, this idea that, I don't know, I don't date women. Here I am trying to like shut up.
Has taken over the world, and it's the sole reason why women are able to do what they do now.
How can men complain about
I could definitely see how we think that. I can see the thought process, but I fear that it's not looking at it in a broader lens, which I know you men are capable of.
inflation at the same time we're telling men they can't be average? Is that not feeding the very problem?
Man, it is, but hey, if you want that bad bitch, that bad girl, that bad female, you're going to have to pay the price, or you're going to have to talk real nice. It's that simple.
When it comes to the red pill,
I like him.
What is the difference between the cock carousel and candy store analogies?
Oh my
Isn't
God.
it both genders exercising their options?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't see it.
They're also, guys, I'm so glad. I think I scared men in this space giving that lock and key analogy. Oh, I came hard with that one. I was like, stop it with your stupid school work. They're not even logically sound. I'm psycho though. It's like a lock and key, good one. You're a pencil. And you just get skinnier and skinnier each time. I'm just like, don't fuck with me. I'll fuck with you. I like that we don't hear it, but this idea that like the candy and this is not rooted in anything. Somebody made a problem, made it sound convincing. And like, I get where it was trying to go, but does it apply to your life? And be really honest with yourselves. Okay. It's just, okay. You know,
Yeah, there's no difference in there.
Is a woman wanting the bigger, better deal the equivalent of men wanting the younger, hotter chick?
I think men are fine. They just want one woman to lie to for the rest of their. I'm kidding. I'm psycho. Men, I think, are more like when we say men are simple. I think that I don't like that. I think men are complex, actually. Okay. I know you're thinking about something. What's on your mind? Nothing. You're lying to me. I know it. Am I projecting? There's just so many things on my mind. I don't know. What did he say? Here I go, just yapping. Shut up, Tori.
I'd say so.
Oh, men are simple. Like men could have one wife. They just want one. Then stop it with spreading your... I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's gross. I get it, but I don't like it. Is it the same? Yes. When men, hit their stride and get some, confidence comes with like doing well at your job and being there seasoned a bit, it's like you move differently. I know you guys hate when I say women like confidence. It's like, what the fuck is that? You guys are so like spurgy a bit. And it's like, I don't know the formula. You move different. Okay. You speak from your diaphragm. It's like, how many years am I at my job? I don't know. Stop being weird about it. Okay. But you guys move differently. So it's like, I get what he's saying. He's like, yeah, like the younger, hotter when they hit the start. But yeah. Okay. This is why men can't be allowed outside. This is why I want a house husband. I keep getting tagged in these videos on TikTok, and there's like a trend going around. I can't think of the music, but it's men cooking like chefs at home. I was like, yes, this is what I want. I want a homemaker. I need a wife.
One is hypergamy based, and I think one is just biologically based, which means they would both be biologically based. Hypergamy is the act of a woman wanting something better, and a guy's, a natural yearning to want something better. They're one and the same. I think. So
for those that are like, oh no, hypergamy, what the hell? Hypergamy, stop listening to hypergamy. Essentially, what men are fearing is that men have been taught, typically, okay, it depends on if they had a mom or not, but like their first love, and Freud talks about this, many psychologists, there's a lot of research on it, I'm not just pulling it from my ass, but like a little, no, I'm serious. Like men's first love, arguably, is the love with his mother. I would say most men have mommy issues. They probably would agree with me, okay? You think that men have been taught that you will be loved no matter what, arguably from a woman. They seek it out. And when men slip up, they get depressed. Maybe they don't look for a job. They got fired. It's like when men aren't actively trying to do that, we just think that you don't love us. Okay. Is it all the time? No, not necessarily. Some people operate in their relationships totally differently. But like, why would I be with somebody who, it's kind of like the concept of respect. It's like you're willing to play your stupid video game, not look for a job, justify it, eat all of my food. Fuck you. You're lazy. You know what I mean? It's like I get home after a long day of work and you're on Call of Duty. This is a fringe example. Okay. I don't think I've ever dated anybody that did this. So relax. But like, that's saying that you're okay with me taking on all of it. Okay. I can't explain it to you. The wives are cheering. They're like, the mental load. I hear you, house. Okay. I don't think it ever stops. Think about laundry. You never really stop doing it. It's the same concept. And life is a lot easier and manageable when you don't have to pick up after anybody. So if you don't respect me, well, I respect myself. So I'm dumping you. Okay. I'm not saying it's right, but that's the reality of shit. Just like if somebody yells at you in public, like your wife yells at you in public and emasculates you, it's like, she hates me. Why'd she make me look like a loser in front of all my boys? I'm fucked up. It's the same thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be like gender specific, but you know the thing. You have something where it's like, If they're not doing that, you assume they hate you. Maybe I'm just toxic. I don't know. Could be both.
They're just the deepest roots of our human psychology.
So if men and women can both be hypergamous, why does red pill only...
Only women technically are. Because men love in that way where it's like, we love you for you. Women arguably too. It's just, it manifests differently. I can't explain why. It's not always the case, but it's definitely there. I think that when you turn yourself into a child, and I have to take care of another child, and I didn't even want kids, you hate me. I think you hate me. Why would I be with somebody who hates me?
Talk about female hypergamy?
Because if they only talk about that side, they can get their point across.
Okay. No, it's so that men always strive to be a better version of themselves. That's why they talk about it that way. They're saying, hey, you got to keep improving yourself because women are hypergamous and they'll leave your ass. Okay. Just like I was saying, you hate me. Same thing. Just like from the bros. Okay. It's to keep you accountable so that your relationships don't break up. Okay. It's not like this power game. You're viewing it weirdly. Stop doing that.
Again, there's no issue with being hypergamous. I think the question that women need to...
This guy is great. He should have a podcast.
Ask themselves is, do I deserve the guy that I'm asking for?
Oh.
And I think, unfortunately, a lot of women think that they're qualified when they're really not because of maybe they're doing sex work or they're not feminine.
Yeah, man. What makes a woman qualified for me is loyalty, you know what I'm saying? And devotion. You got to have those.
Sean says, I totally understand where you're coming from, but I also understand why guys are confused by how wanting to be loved by women is interpreted as men hating them. It's like, you want me to love you unconditionally, like I birthed you from my canal. And the reality is, when you aren't doing things for me, it could depend on their love language. But if you're choosing to make me work, it's different because I like want a house husband, but like back to the scenario, it's like if you haven't actively looked for a job and you know that I'm fucking depressed and I'm going to have to just do it because you chose not to be thoughtful to do it before I get home. You know what I mean? I think you hate me. And you're just like, no, I thought you just would love me no matter what. No, bitch, we got conditions. And this is good for you too. It's not just beneficial to me. I don't even think that it's programming. I think it's just fundamental. It could be a little programming. But I just don't want to fuck you anymore. You're like a child to me and I'm not attracted to children. Okay, it's not to hurt your feelings. It's just just take it objectively. Love you, bye.
Two attributes in a real way. If you don't possess those two attributes, you're not qualified for the biggest turtle. And you can't be promiscuous, you know?
What is the alpha widow concept and why does it only apply to women?
The alpha widow concept is a concept that...
also not grounded in like statistical data. Okay, we have amazing writers in this space and they're talking about certain dynamics that they experienced. They're thoughtful. That is a very deep concept. I encourage you all to research it in your own time. Read other people talking about it. Rolo's one of them. That's it's not 100% true. It would be impossible to measure. But it's also so that you stay accountable and striving to be the best option to her because you don't want her thinking about a guy from the past. I'll be honest with you. I blocked them all out and they were good men, but like out of sight, out of mind. You guys stress me out. So it's like if you're doing some crazy shit, I'd be like, damn, I'm going to come up with I dumped Johnny thinking that you weren't going to disrespect me. And here you are, a child. Johnny wouldn't have done that. It has nothing to do with like sex. It's just like, wow, you don't love me. Also, again, maybe toxic. I can conceptualize it, but it's not necessarily true. It's not like I'm going to dump him. But like, it's probably like a toxic thing that women could do if they're not over their ex. It's nothing to do with their dick size, maybe for some people, but like, don't worry about it. It has nothing to do with like, not, it could be different for anybody. It'd be impossible to measure. Okay, sorry, that probably hurt.
A woman has an ex or maybe a one-night
Toxic
stand or a
boy.
crush that she cannot get over. And though that she's in a current relationship with a boyfriend that's doing everything right, if that ex or the one-night stand were to knock on the door today, even though her current man's doing everything right, she will leave the current man and go back to her ex. In other words, she can never get over her ex.
See, you can't always be a nice guy. Can't always do everything. You got to say no to things, right? And so this is where it can get really adversarial. You're probably following me like, makes sense. I don't do things for her. She thinks I hate. And now I'm saying, well, don't do everything for her, right? You still need to adopt a positive masculine mindset where you put yourself first. But that's the beauty, okay? You work on yourself. You go to the gym. It doesn't fix everything. Maybe make your own doctor's appointment. Calm down, Tori. Calm down. It's like, do things for her, but don't smother her ass, okay? If I could give you, an equation for that, you nerds, I would, but I can't, okay? Because we're all different. We're similar. We have similar things. I would say that this probably applies to most women. But on what grounds, it's going to be so different. Think about it. I don't even think I have baggage from relationships, but I'm toxic, yo. You're going to have to do a lot more than a healthy bitch, right? I know my flaws.
A man's loyalty is tested when he has everything. Wouldn't high-value men be less likely to pair bond?
Oh, please.
I'd say so. Yeah,
We're not a bunch of birds. Okay, maybe me. I look like one, but that's a bird talk. Okay, stop it with this pair bonding. That's been refuted.
Question, yeah.
So wouldn't a high body count show a lack of commitment regardless of gender?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think the teaching of, and I get why. There's two sides of the coin. So the first side is, we live in a society that tells you when you're broke, you don't deserve a girl at all. And that same society tells you once you work your...
So I hear you. But your intrinsic value, I know it feels like you're disposable in this society, but you have intrinsic value, human rights. Okay. You shouldn't be your wallet. So don't lead with it. Easier said than done. Okay, you're more than, what did our boy say? You're more than your job. You're more than your khakis. I hear the men like, yeah. That doesn't help us. I'm sorry.
Your face off and you become rich. You can only get one girl. So what goes on in these men's mind and why a lot of them are arrogant is, hey, I'm making up for lost times. Nobody was with me when I was alone and building myself up. Simultaneously, I do not think it's good to hump around. You can get the wrong girl pregnant, you can catch an STD, and I just think it's a whole messy life in general, and that it is better to just be a one-woman man. But unfortunately, with the society we live in, it is definitely hard to find, especially if he's rich.
If one-itis or a soulmate is bad, why is Red Pill so concerned with pair bonding?
They're not. Who's talking about this? Who is talking about this, John? Nobody's talking. The birds. Come on. Nobody's talking about that. I think men want her to have less bodies. Ew. Like body count. It's like the only other time we use that language is counting casualties. Easy. Okay. But it's because men fear that they're going to get dumped. It really is about that. Okay, obviously there's other components. It's going to be different for everybody. But when women hear you say shit like this, they're like, oh, so the double stand. Men are so fearful that you're going to dump them. And it's going to, this is why they're caught off guard. Ever like, oh, I could give you a million reasons why that guy was going to get divorced. And he's like, what? It's because men literally think that you'll love them no matter what, like their mother. Okay, until we get away from that, until we build men up, okay, they're going to still think this. And so it all feeds each other in different ways.
It's a hot word right now with the pair bonding thing. It's a very hot term. I don't even know where it came from. I think it's a way to try to hold women accountable to not be promiscuous.
If dating coaches advocate,
yeah, there's probably an element of jealousy, especially like porn rot brains. I could see that. Okay. You see, certain things change the way we view people.
For men to become the high-value guy that plows through women, aren't we advocating for men to become the very thing we condemn in women?
Yep.
Isn't that contributing to the degeneracy?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Again, if my son was growing up, first of all, I think it would be better. Let's say I have a son. I think it would be
people that are promiscuous, man or woman. Okay, they're fucking each other. It's really not an issue. It's like idea that like women at large are just fucking about. Well, calm down. Okay, I love you, but it's just I've been saying this since I started. It's not what you think it is. It really isn't. I think people are not getting together. But you have people that are more promiscuous, fucking more promiscuous people. Okay. But Tori, what if I marry her and found out later that she had like a gangbang and whatever? I'm so sorry. Just pretend like it never happened, like she did.
Better for him to find a woman before he's successful.
Maybe men are like, we can't ask those things. I know. I'm sorry. We lost one.
So he doesn't have to worry about the gold diggers that we talked about. But even if he is successful, I would never encourage my son to bang 40 chicks a week. I think that's absolutely gross.
If the average man is more likely to pair bond, why aren't women seeking those men?
Because
they are. I wouldn't even call it that. Men, I feel like all men pair bond. I'm just kidding. I think pair bonding is like the dumbest thing. I've always said this. I just think it's so stupid. The only research that backs this shit up is like some religious body count. It's not actually, people will often conflate the two or whatever, or like use them to support each other. You can't do that. But it's like the body count stats we see are like from one religious website. Guys, okay, get it together. Shane actually found me really good stats on it worldwide. And it's like, it's what you think it is. Okay, it's not this crazy thing.
There's a segment of women who want a better return. And social media has taught them that there's more out there. So why pair bond with this guy when I believe there's more out there in the marketplace?
Why does Rollo refer to the red pill as a praxeology as opposed to an ideology?
Because it's a... Do you know what an ideology is, John? What are you talking about? Love you, but like... The red pill is constantly evolving. Constantly. It could never be an ideology unless it was like the same beliefs. We already know that not everything is written down in ink. Okay? Culture changes. It's not. Do people become radicalized in it? I think they were always going to be radicalized. It just depends on what they decided to watch. I don't think that's a red pill thing. It's just like OCD tendencies, maybe. And it's the internet. It's a whole nother animal.
Definitely more of an ideology.
Because it's something that you're supposed to put effort into. Like, practice makes perfect. An ideology more so is a mindset.
How is red pill a praxeology that doesn't give advice when red pillars tell men that they have a masculine duty to protect and provide?
Nobody is saying that. Literally nobody's saying that, John. I love you. Nobody's saying that. If you want to do that, go ahead. Can I bitch for a moment? Can I bitch? It's like, this why gender roles fucking triggers me. I'm like, wait, so He expects me to be his bang maid, his mommy, bearing his children, all the cleaning. I said that already. Cooking, picking up after him, all this stuff. And he's what? Protecting and providing me. How often have you been fucking, what do you call it? How many times has somebody come into your home? Banglarized. Why am I saying that wrong? How many times have you been robbed? Never? So I'm doing all this shit every day on the one-off chance that we get robbed. Fuck you. No. No. I'm just being silly.
It's not.
Definitely a contradiction, my brother.
Isn't Myron telling men to sleep with 50 women giving advice? Isn't Rollo telling men to have a vasectomy giving advice?
Rollo is not telling men to get a vasectomy. Rollo, you cannot write anything and hope that people understand these fucking metaphors. You can't. Rollo's like, just stop it. Okay. It's so that it would prompt questions about how we talk about men in culture.
Definitely advice that I would not take. One thing I learned is, if I like a person or I don't like a person, I pick and choose what I like to hear versus when I hear a load of crap, I'm like, that goes in one ear and out of the other. So though, I do watch the Fresh and Fit podcast. That right there was something I did not take.
If Red Pill Podcasts can't find good women who aren't sex workers to be on their podcasts, why would they expect men to find good women who are wife material?
First of all, you can never get the women that you desperately want to see on Fresh and Fit Why? Why is that? Because the women you expect, the ones in burqas and whatever the fuck, they are not going on podcasts. The pool will always be people who are willing to go on podcasts, for instance, are probably higher in extroversion, maybe a little narcissistic, hard to tell. You know what I mean? It's like these women that you want in burqas and shit. I'm being dramatic, but you know what I'm saying. They're not going to be on a fucking podcast, dude. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't mean that to be like rude. I'm just saying like, at least they can acknowledge it, right? It bothers me when people are like, see, there's so many different types of women. It's like you have never taken a science class and it shows. The pool is always going to be people that are more likely to go on podcasts, probably more openness. There's many things that come with that. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I'll shut up. This is long.
That's a good one. They can find, because if you're a good woman, you wouldn't go to their podcast. So I do believe you can find good women. You just got to get offline,
Base. I asked that question.
Okay, base. I know that it's like he's saying the bad women are on the podcast. Come on. Okay, we got it. I get it, but that was based. The reality is like most women are good, like most men are good. Okay. Go outside, go to the dog park.
Question all the time. Why not bring women on there that are somewhat not on OnlyFans or somewhat not a model or somewhat not a clout chaser onto the platform to see what a more average chick in America that most guys would be dealing with, how she is and how she acts. I think it's because that gets the most clicks, that's getting the most views. That is what is monetizable, at least until they couldn't monetize it anymore, right?
I mean, yeah, it's fun. Guys, would you really... I feel like you want a good woman on the show. For what? For what? People lie when they're on camera, y'all. I'm not saying it's right, but it's like we have a whole nother element. People say things. It's their first time on a podcast. They want to be politically polite. Go outside. Go meet women. They're not scary. Make friends with women. But don't annoy me. I'm just kidding. It's like you gotta go outside. It doesn't exist. The online world doesn't exist.
And that is what sells, you know. And these guys initially had, you know, a vision to want to help guys out, but now it's just a grift on guys that look at these OnlyFans women and beat off to them every night, you know.
So then aren't they promoting the very problem that
How tall do you think this guy is? He looks really tall.
they're complaining about?
Absolutely.
What's the difference between OnlyFans creators exploiting lonely men for money and red pill dating coaches exploiting lonely men for money?
There isn't a difference. Crazy, right?
Can somebody name me a dating coach right now? Sorry. Who? Entrepreneurs and cars? Like, who's our dating coach? Todd? The PUA? Name a dating coach? And are we just going to absolve men of responsibility on how to spend their money? It's like, leave them alone. Okay? If they want to spend it on a dating coach, let them. Maybe they find use in it. It's usually people that haven't done that talk shit on it. Anybody notice that? It's like men can choose to spend their money. They're not. We can't really say that they don't know what they're doing. And if you guys say that, then we should be marching in the streets. Okay. But I would assume that men are like, we want to spend it on that.
Because if you see a bunch of sex workers, you're going to feel like, oh, all girls are sex workers. I'm hopeless.
True.
If prostitution was legal, do you think women's attitudes towards men would change?
Yeah.
They would get worse. He said, yeah? They would get worse.
That's because sex will no longer be used as a weapon.
You're projecting. We don't do that. I find this to be... Okay, I understand it in terms of a relationship. Like, no, I'm not fucking you. You're annoying me and I'm going to be pouty and haha. But I'm also toxic. Okay. But like, it almost feels as though when it's talked about, it's like, do you mean sex or do you mean their sexuality? Women don't realize what they're doing to us. It's like, this sounds like porn rot, like brain rot. They just assume that women know and are doing it on purpose. No, they don't. We're all in this fucking machine called capitalism, yo.
So if prostitution would be a game changer, why does nobody promote it on any of these podcasts?
Anything that changes the way that you view the opposite sex, not good. We don't have that here. You can find it in areas like Amsterdam. It's not going to work here. Maybe eventually. We're just not there yet. I don't think it's the right next step. If it bothers you so much, I mean, do it illegally. It's like, I don't promote it, but you know, like, stop bitching. It's coming off like bitching. Love you.
Oh, because, you know, society would shame them. I mean, it does sound weird, right? Let's promote prostitution. That would sound crazy.
Prostitution is always in a negative light. The word prostitution already gives people a disgusting feeling. But guess what?
Because it's usually done in secret. Yeah. But like the transactional nature of it, I don't really think it matters. Did that just negate everything I said? I don't know. You'd have to argue that sex is a fundamental need. And some people might agree with you, but most won't. And so if sex, it's like if we deemed sex as actually a need and a right, that would mean, well, do disabled people deserve sex if it's a right? How are they going to get it? It's not a need and it's not a right, which right would come later, but it's certainly not a need, because if your need is dependent on the consents or consensual, if your need is dependent on another human being, then it's not a need. It can't be. Because what if they don't consent? How do you get the need met? You see where there's like, I'm sorry. It's parasitic and gross. Just kidding. Now, if somebody wanted to say like masturbation, right? And they ban all corn, that's a topic I'm willing to contend with. But it's giving porn rot when you assume that it's a need. I can't explain it. Okay, I'm tired.
We have politicians that used to be prostitutes. Prostitute was the first form of hustle back in the medieval times. Wasn't Jesus' mama a prostitute? Wasn't Mother Mary a prostitute? So it's like,
yeah.
This has been taught through the Bibles that these people try to push on us, but yet when there's people advocating and there's girls out here advocating, men out here advocating for legal prostitution, it's a problem. But guess what? These same men is spending money on prostitutes.
I think a better solution would be if men had sexual self-control. I think that's the ultimate solution, but I don't think that's realistic, unfortunately.
I don't know if sexual self-control is... I get what he's saying, but when you have an environment... See, I'm a determinist, so I see it like... Well, I'm glad they're not out there doing you-know-what against their... You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do you mean by sexual self-control? If you're dangling, and it's like putting a lion in... What was it? What was that video game? Crash Bandicoot? Was that the one where there was like a lion level? It doesn't matter. It's like putting meat in front of a lion and telling it no, except it's on another, it's on a level that I can't relate to. Half of the population can't, right? It's a hormone thing, and you're expected to be a civil human being, right? So it's like you have a whole society that's like hypersexualized and shit. I can understand the frustration cognitively, but you still, if that need is dependent on somebody other than yourself. Now, if you said intimacy or connection, humans, it's like, okay, but there's that sexual component that changes it. It's like, I think people agree you need not to be isolated, whatever that is. But as soon as you're like, no, I don't know. I just don't like it. Sorry.
Well, how could it be realistic when sex is a need for men?
Well, it's all about practice, my guy. I mean, there's NoFap. I've been part of the NoFap community. All you can do is try your best. Obviously, it's a part of men. It is what it is.
Also, imagine the economy. Dude, that shit would plummet so quickly. Maybe not. You tell me how it wouldn't. I just don't know if America would be ready for it. I'm not saying they won't be eventually. But the way that the gender war has been going, I don't think it would be conducive. I know like Amsterdam, Netherlands or whatever did it, but they've been way more progressive for way longer. Hundreds of years. Okay. It's like it's different.
Spread our seed. So it's definitely a tricky subject, but I say at least give it a shot instead of just being like, hey, this is who I am. I'm a horn dog. Because then it goes back to the 50 women that Myron talked about.
I hear Red Pill saying that a man's need to protect and provide comes natural. It's biological. Which is more biological? Men's need for sex or men's need to protect and provide?
It's self-sacrificing. I would say that instinct to probably more pervasive. Because I think that you don't even have to go through puberty to feel that way, right? So I think it's just, I don't know. But if you're talking like protect and provide, like to not die alone and be in a relationship, what do you mean by that? I think most men would like to have a companion.
Man's need for sex, protecting and as far as providing, I think you have to be born and raised into providing and protecting. I don't think it comes natural.
I feel like when we need responsibility, I feel like we were created to take care of women and children, and if we're by ourselves, there's just it's like a ticking time bomb until we feel like our life is vaporous.
Why don't men need to be taught how to want sex, but men need to be taught how to be a man?
Part of being a man is definitely sex, so that's definitely a contradiction.
Furthermore, why are men being shamed for wanting sex, something that's clearly biological?
Because you guys are weird about it. Final answer. Love you. I think I'm projecting.
It's because like I said, unfortunately, it's an anti-man society. It's an anti-man society.
It's anti-commitment it's anti-commitment, and there's
because women are like, how the fuck can you ask for that when we've been screaming at you? I'm saying it from like a feminist perspective. It's like, we've been begging you to do X, Y, and Z, and now your question is, well, how can we get that? It's tone deaf, I think. But if you are like, I feel like, well, I really shouldn't speak because I'm not married. It's like, I feel like people are putting out and they're not, according to stats. And it's like, yeah, but what about our sexual needs? We got to have a better conversation around sex for sure. That starts with making it not so shameful. I think it's one of the things we suck at. There's always a funny question. I'm a woman. I don't believe in the feminism movement. I think we want the same goals in terms of equality, assuming that you're like a normal feminist. I think when we separate groups, like feminism, for instance, we create a binary between genders that will fundamentally be adversarial with each other, whether you think it won't or not. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the language. It doesn't did feminism have anything good about it? Maybe. I mean, I'm sitting on here on a podcast and not fucking a slave in the home. So like, yeah, probably on some level, right? But I don't look at the world that way. I'm just kidding. It's like, I think that I just think we could do something better. I don't like MRAs and I don't like feminism. I feel like it's giving bitchin' on both ends. I don't think it's conducive. I feel like it almost is like screaming that we're weak and wanting this thing. Are there certain feminists? Yeah. Don't ask me about Simone de Beauvoir. Okay. She annoys me. I'm just kidding. She did great things. I don't know. I have a vision for the culture war ending, and feminism is not a part of it. I don't know. Something about it. It's not the worst thing. It's not like a net negative, maybe for a little bit in terms of like relationships, but I think we could do something better. But like if it came down to it and it's me versus man and we're the last ones on earth and he's trying to kill me, I'm gonna kill him. Me first, bitch. Okay? And I hope it's the same way in the reverse. Okay, bad example. But I will always put my needs first, just like you should put your needs first. You can't put oxygen on somebody next to you if you don't put it on first yourself. Okay? So, but it's funny because people are like, Rollo, Torsha's a feminist. It was with Rollo and Ryan, and they're like, yeah, so are we. It's like, it depends how you look at it. Or you're saying, are you against men? Like it's some sort of war. Why do you guys always do it like that? You're so weird. I love women. I love men. I love everybody of all genders, whatever identities and everything. Okay. I think true equality comes from getting rid of those sort of labels.
Another sex that needs men to commit in order to survive the later years.
Women were writing books and I know. It's actually one of my bigger pet peeves, but I just can hear them. Like, you're on a podcast, right? Bitch, we've been farming for God knows how long. Okay. I'm just thinking, men have never really owned a woman. Sexual revolution. Sorry, I'm thinking about it. I remember doing like a narrative, one of Rollo's pieces, and that was like the next chapter.
Why are men shamed to not want sex at the same time they're shamed into being a real man?
That is a great question. That is a great question, because being a real man, you're going to want sex. You're probably going to want sex a lot.
Of course, there's a limit. Like I said, don't be a horn dog, but it's completely normal.
Roger says, are you saying you aren't a feminist because you don't want it to be adversarial? What makes you think that housewives were slaves to the home? Would husbands be slaves to the... Yes, absolutely. What do you mean? Yes, you're slaves. He was a slave to his job. I probably shouldn't use that word. But if you're new here, Roger, okay, I want to be a dominant... I want to be the breadwinner in the family. I want a house husband. He's not allowed to go outside. Okay. He's going to cheat. He can't go outside. He's not allowed to see anybody during the day. And he can go outside with me later, but he's not allowed out of the house. So to answer your question, are you saying you aren't a feminist because you don't want to be adversarial? No, I genuinely do not like the deconstruction of the patriarchy. I think there's a beautiful example of patriarchy in nature that works very well, and that's in the church. And if you aren't familiar with religion, okay, I'm an atheist. I'm not even religious. But when you study the Bible and you actually study like the man and woman dynamic, I honestly thought that we were going to do that when I had that debate or whatever, where I didn't say anything. I would love to do a topic on this because it's the only example where I don't think it should be any other way. And I'm saying this to like where it really is symbiotic and it has nothing to necessarily do with roles. Well, kind of, but it's like expectations. People know what to expect, but you can change it. It really is like the only example. Can it go wrong? Yeah. Right. But anyways, feminism likes to deconstruct hierarchies. I fundamentally disagree with this. I see the value, I see the vision, but I see something better. It was necessary. It's useful. But to evolve and move forward, we're going to have a hierarchy. It might look different. You might have the leaders on the bottom and somehow make that work, but we will always have hierarchies. It's necessary. I don't see getting around it. So if I were to say I don't like feminism, what I really don't like is their way of getting to like equality, deconstructing a hierarchy. Everybody deserves everything the same. I see your vision. I just fundamentally disagree with it. So I don't like to say, like, if I was somebody that was into the whole postmodernism, deconstruction, and I thought that we could move forward under that sort of model, I would call myself a feminist, but I do not see it as useful. I think one of the reasons we've been in this gender war for such a long time is because it's like you got that group feminists trying to go this way. And it's like you have men who you need in order to evolve saying no. And what we keep doing is trying to get them to do it our way, woman's way. It's not going to work. We need men in order to solve the conflict. I truly think men are going to be the ones that figure it out because we need that sort of I can't tell you exactly what it is. Something masculine. I don't know if I would call it that, but you guys are so weird, and you look at things in like systems. You do. And like, I'm not saying it necessarily has to be that way in like a gender role sense, but it's something that I've noticed. The way you guys get to your zero sum shit. I don't know. I think you're gonna solve some shit. I don't know. I should shut up, right? But I would never in a million years call myself a fucking MRA either. I won't be a pick-me bitch. Okay. I refuse. Honestly, if I could rule the world, and I would make men no cell phones. Okay. They all have to go to cooking school. I'm just kidding. It's like I say this, and I am the exact thing that feminism wanted to give women the choice to do. So thank you. But I'm doing something more with it, bitches. Get it together. Get on my level. I'm so annoying.
And unfortunately, we're shamed for something that we can't control.
Well,
MRAs are like male feminists. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
once again, why are we coping with the injustice rather than fighting the actual injustice in the first place?
Because you broke a feminist tenet by saying they need men. I speak womanese, and so I feel like if I say that, they might actually take it and be like, maybe she's on to something.
Fighting means get off the couch. A lot of men don't do that.
Well, if men are strong and masculine, then wouldn't we be capable of doing what we say we're good at?
Yeah, biologically men are strong and masculine, but I believe not anymore. You know, growing up in a single mother household, they don't know what masculinity is because there was no father in the house. And I think a lot of men, even in school, majority.
I genuinely think, Roger says, I mean, all the best cooks are male. I still got to prep a bit. Wait, whoa. Oh, that's so fun. I still got to prep a brisket to smoke this week. That's awesome. I remember my neighbor's dad used to prep a brisket. It would take like some days. Okay. Not that it's a competition on who's a better cook. I think both people can be, but I love the idea. Like like when guys are like, I want her to cook me a nice meal. I want you to cook me a meal every day, forever. But I want you to enjoy doing it. So that's why I say they should be a chef, you know? But I think that having men in roles that were typically for like a woman, wife, could, if all men decided to be house husbands, I think it would be one way to fix this dilemma. Y'all don't know what it's like to mop floors and do nothing, wait for their love to come home and you ignore us. Okay, you don't know what it's like. Maybe they'd be, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There's definitely something to say that there's like stats to back it up that women that out earn their men, not looking good. Okay, you did something. I don't know what. I know I'm definitely fringe when it comes to my vision for a marriage.
The teachers are female, so that's where the masculinity has been lost, and our kryptonite is feeling sorry for ourselves, and unfortunately a lot of men rather feel sorry for themselves than to go through the pain and sacrifice of being responsible and fighting for something.
I think if they were getting paid more, they probably would. I feel like I just solved it.
Do you think the manosphere might possibly be selling us the blue pill disguised as the red pill?
I mean, you can find someone. It's like, yeah, you can. I don't know. Go outside.
Man, that's a great question. To a certain extent, I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Oh, 100%.
That's a nice way of being like, it's a little radical.
That's why if you look at Myron and their content, they have OnlyFans numbers up there. They have their tags there where you could tag the girl on OnlyFans. If you really believed in your content, you wouldn't have the women's information there, you know? So you're working with the same people you are anti.
The red pill guys having OnlyFans girls on there. Okay, listen. Nobody wants to sponsor an OnlyFans girl. They are creating jobs. These men. They're the sponsors, yo. It's symbiotic. Here, that's another example of patriarchy working in the environment.
Because they say, a blue pill, they'll call a guy blue pill for quote unquote simping, right? So, but at the same time, red pill also says take care of a woman. So wouldn't that be considered simping? So I can definitely see the parallel there.
Are you familiar with the Whatever podcast?
Whatever podcast? It rings a bell.
The white person's Fresh and Fit.
Oh, him. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it that one white dude? He's always wearing flannels who just has a bunch of sex workers on there just to get them to say ridiculous stuff to clip on the internet.
Justice for Brian.
Why does Brian, who's anti-marriage, continue bringing on tradcons to promote marriage while never challenging about changing laws like...
Who said he's promoting marriage, first of all? It's just having conversations. Now that Andrew's on it, it's been a lot more interesting. I wouldn't say that it's like crazy shit. I think it's fun. I like the bear one. I remember that episode. It was like would you rather be stuck in a forest with a bear or a man? And like, I heard that right away and I was like, absolutely a man. Like, get me out of here. There's bears. I don't want to run and throw me over your shoulder. Yes. But the whole public and TikTok was like, I don't know. Even men were like, I don't know what I would want my daughter to pick. They're both dangerous. And it just goes to show that the justification that women would have for it collectively was, well, the bears, it's a whole thing. But it was a good episode, I guess. And Andrew was like, you guys sound delusional. It was a very good episode, actually. I still think about it.
Pearl did with Michael Knowles.
I think because he just wants a debate on his show. I think he just wants people to argue back and forth because it gets clicks and super chats and ad revenue.
Because
guys, Brian was doing well before the whole setup and shit. Like, he was doing those. What was he doing before that? He's had like 4 million fucking subscribers for a very long time. He's been in the business a very long time. I think he used to do the pranks. Maybe? I forget.
Gets views. I don't think he genuinely believes most of the stuff he talks about. He just knows it's going to make him money.
I didn't know that he's anti-marriage specifically, but he does have a lot of trad cons on, and they debate with, people of different lifestyles. And I just think he likes that back and forth, that blood sport.
So then why do we label him a men's advocate rather than just a grifter who wants money?
It's a job. Just like you have a job. Don't be a hater. I want all men to succeed in this space. Don't let people calling you a grifter that make you not want to do it. I think it's so lazy. And don't get me wrong, I know there's certain people that are like shitty human beings that probably have been arrested for like DV and shit, and they're out here giving I hear you. Okay. Let them rot. Okay. But like, Brian's a good dude. Andrew's a good dude.
I don't know how people label him.
It's just like, it's a job.
But maybe that is what it is.
So the Whatever podcast, I think that's the only thing the show is lacking. I think the structure of the show is good, but I think Brian could be a little bit more direct. And
Brian is tired. Okay, he's tired.
And I feel like he's too...
Justice for Brian. I remember he said he had neck problems or something, and I was like, oh, I should send him this icy hot that got discontinued that I found on eBay. Is the best thing in the world. It was like a stick. If you guys find it, you should send it to him. He talks about migraines and shit. Sorry, side note. I wish they still sold this icy hot in the stores. Anyway, it was like a deodorant stick looking thing. and you twist it and like a white easy. Okay. It was like the white cream. I ate it here. That would come out. But now the ones that they have in the stores are like the blue ball. I fucking hate it here. You know the one I'm talking about. I have it somewhere. And that one's okay, but there was this other one that was unreal. Anyways, you can find it on eBay. That's the description for it. It has to be in that stick.
Chillax. And I think that's the only thing that the show's lacking, and it does frustrate me, and that's honestly why I stopped subscribing, because I just feel like on 1 through 10, he's always at like a 4. Of course, don't be at a 10 and scream at these women, whatever, but be direct and ask.
See, I vehemently disagree. There was one show he did where I was like, oh my God, I never thought of that. And I think of everything. I was like, that was a good dialogue back and forth. I think it was the one with Ava. Semi-recently. I think he has a really good way of bringing up like contradictions. I can fix him.
Difficult questions. Like if he was asking your questions, the show would be way better.
Could it possibly be why he brought on Andrew Wilson?
That's exactly why he brought. It literally popped in my head before you said that. That's why I love Andrew Wilson so much. He's doing his dirty work. Unfortunately, he's doing what he's too scared to do.
Continue bringing on,
or maybe, okay. Andrew can speak from being married and shit. You know, he's got more experience.
Traditional conservatives to promote marriage.
Because traditional conservatives is the new red pill alliance, and I think it's just them making money together. You know, anti-women work.
Normally, I hate trad cons like so much. They annoy they're undercover feminists most of the time, and like Andrew and Rachel come into the scene. I'm like, they all right, okay. More than that, they're like real. It's like the other ones are so like he needs to be like, it's like shut up. You know, I think it was a good thing.
Well, with Republicans,
they focus on solutions. Okay,
you know.
Can you elaborate a little more on that? What do you mean?
I think they purposely are trying to get those younger men to start voting Republican early by telling them that the world's against them and that they have a disadvantage, and that red pill kind of helps nurture them into becoming Republicans.
It's the same.
There's definitely a pipeline. There's a pipeline for sure.
Thing is, Republicans and Democrats, they literally only talk about the other side so they can get their side across instead of talking about the issues with their own side. It's at the end of the day, it's all propaganda.
I do like when you guys are skeptical. Okay. Thanks, John. You guys should follow him. I put his channel in the description. I will put it in the chat right now. I may be in Vegas election night. That's if I probably should have started with that, but if I can fundraise it and get there. So maybe if I am, me and John will do an episode. We have done one before, like 2 years ago, something like that. If you guys like the Socratic messaging or Socratic questioning, you can find more at his channel. Underrated. Underrated. Anyways. Okay. I love you guys. But I am going for a run and making tea. So I'm going to go. But that was so long. That was long. How many hours are we at? Jesus. Wear your SPF. Don't take shit from anybody. Learn to say no, okay? They can wait. If you already started drinking tonight, okay, you'll quit tomorrow. It's fucked up. Former bartender, okay? I'm running with my dog. Okay, love you. Bye.